they're reinvesting those in U.S. Treasuries, which are only paying about 0.25% interest rate. And then the premium, on the other hand, I think is about 4%, not 4%, but 0.04. So already you can see that they're taking a loss. So this is not good business for them, and they can end up going out of business or having some problems if they do not change their business model. So what they're asking is they're giving bonuses. They actually will give you cash to take out your cash. So for people who
I know it's the cash for cash program.
So if you take out between $25,000 and $49,000 in cash, they will give you a bonus of $25.
Woo!
Well, it jumps though; it gets even better. You get $50 if you take out $74,000.
Woo!
And if you take
such a deal.
And if you take out $75,000, I mean, if you take
out, pay $50 for a bag to put it in.
If you take out $75,000 or more, then you will get $75.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, well, either all of those amounts of $25.
Who would ever thought that the day would come when you had $75,000 and the bank would say, "We don't want that money." Who would ever thought?
Right. Not only do we not want it, but we'll pay you to take it out. Take it away.
Get it out of here. We're only a bank. We don't want that money.
Right, or a credit union.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of weird. I mean, things are a little bit topsy-turvy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy world.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the next, you got anything else on banks?
No, nothing else on banks.
What we wanted to talk about a little bit here, since we live in the great state of Illinois, Illinois has been in the media, some of the media lately is having kind of like their blemishes are showing. And there's an article here from Goldline, and this is talking about that Illinois pension liabilities are worse in the nation and could sink the state's economy. And what this article is talking about is that Illinois is facing the largest unfunded pension liability in the country. What they say is nationwide 84% of pension liabilities for state employees are funded, which means states have set aside 84% of the money that they've promised their retirees. This, the report says, is good news. Anything above 80% is considered responsible by economists. As of 2008, Illinois pension liability was only 54% funded, the worst figure in the nation. And new estimates put that figure below 50%. Well, part of the problem is that under indicted ex-governor Rod Blagojevich, our buddy, Illinois borrowed against the money and it expected to earn from pension fund, but the recession has undercut those earnings and now earns 3.8% opposed to anticipated 8.5%. But we're not the only ones. There's other states too. New York and Florida were the only fully funded pension liabilities. 19 states were listed as a report as meriting serious concern in the area. It doesn't say which states, but 19 other states.
So does that mean that the pensioners might end up getting less of their money when they retire?
Well, it says that mounting liabilities could have significant consequences, meaning higher taxes for the people in the state, less money for public services, and lower state bond ratings. So It doesn't sound like their pensions are going to be changed at all.
Right.
It's just that it's going to hurt the taxpayers to try to figure out a way to pay for it.
Okay.
Like everything else.
Right, like everything else. And, of course, this is an article dated the 23rd of February that I got from, looks like I got it from NBC Chicago. And this article is called Doomsday Prediction Tax Illinois. And basically this is saying that Illinois, because our economy, I think we're about the second one of the worst in the nation. I mean, you hear a lot about California, Michigan, Florida.
Yeah, California.
Nevada.
California is not as bad anymore.
Well, you hear about those states, and you don't really hear much about Illinois, and I kind of wonder why. Actually, I'm kind of glad since I live here. It's almost like I'd rather not know this, but we are not in good shape financially. And it's a possibility, according to this article, the state is looking at ways of raising money to cover their budget shortfall, because right now we have a $12.8 billion budget deficit.
Maybe they'll do what Daly did and start selling everything.
Like how we sold our parking meters, and yeah, that's true. Well, what they're looking at doing is one is increasing, almost doubling the state income tax. Right now, our state income tax is 3%. They want to bring it up to 5%. For the first time ever, they want to start taxing, the pension benefits and your Social Security checks. prior to this time, those items were not subject to state income tax or state taxes. I guess it'd be income tax, and so they're looking at possibly taxing those benefits. And then also, as always, increasing taxes on what they call the sin items, which would be like smoking cigarettes. Or cigarettes. So they're talking about $1 increase for buying a pack of cigarettes. I mean, with $1 increase on a pack of cigarettes, if I smoked, I think I'd quit because that's just too much. I'm just looking at that and just thinking, I don't even.
Every time there's a big tax increase on cigarettes and that, there's always a lot of people, they're like, running to, I'm going to quit now,
Right. Yeah, it would make sense. And then they're saying that, and this is something now you hear about California and their IOUs that they were using because they couldn't pay their bills. You didn't know this. I bet you didn't know this, but Illinois, we're not issuing IOUs, but we have our unpaid bills too. Many of the public universities and schools and transit systems and social service organizations, they have not been paid from the state yet.
Yeah, I mean, everything's all wrapped into everything else.
Right.
Which kind of reminds me, there's an article here that I got from Breitbart.com, and this is just talking about the casinos, and they're hurting too. 12 states have casinos, and the casinos fell 5.7% in 2009 to $30.7 billion. And then in 2008, they had a 4.6 drop. So
so people are not gambling that much anymore. Is that what they're saying?
Well, yeah. They say people are now. This article is talking about that it was a combination. Like it's partly the economy, and they're also saying that entertainment wise, that people that the casinos have more competition, like from high definition television and high end video game systems and the internet, including internet gambling. I guess internet gambling isn't legal, but I guess it's a fairly common thing that's growing too. Kind of under the radar, and it's hurting the casinos. Of course, this just trickles back to the states, which rely on the casinos for a lot of revenue for schools and whatnot. So, everything, like I said, everything's all intertwined. The snowball is rolling down the hill.
Right.
So,
well, speaking of a snowball rolling down the hill, what about the post office?
Yeah, well, I got my friend Ron works for the post office.
And I think you have an article in the post office.
Yeah. They're talking about, and this may not be news, maybe a lot of people have heard this, but they're talking about, getting rid of Saturdays for deliveries and going down to a 5-day work week.
Okay.
And to try to save money, because the post office has been losing money. It's been running, a deficit.
Right. Yeah, I have an article from Business Week.
Yeah.
And according to this article, it says that the U.S. Post Office is facing a $238 billion budget deficit between now and the year 2020.
Yeah, last year was $3.8 billion. They had a loss in 2009. Mail volume was down 12.7%. And then they said a lot of that's due to online bill payments and message delivery.
Right, so people just are not using the post office like they used to.
Yeah, so a lot of people are doing, paying bills online and whatnot, and emails instead of mails. I mean, you still have mail, but it's just, it's down.
Right.
It's not what it used to be because there's a lot more electronic documentation going on in the world these days.
Right. So, have they been laying off workers?
Yeah, they laid off. I think it was like, if I remember, that 40,000 employees were actually let go.
Let go what, just in a year or over the past few years? Or?
Yeah, they reduced it. And I don't know if they're all laid off or just people they didn't hire when the retirees retired.
Right.
But they said their workforce is about 40,000 less.
Right.
And they're talking about cutting retiree health benefits by $4 billion.
Okay, so that means that the retirees probably are going to have to contribute more towards their health care.
And the other thing that they're talking about is raising the price of stamps.
Right, but stamps are already too expensive.
Yeah, that's locked in for 2010 for a first class stamp. And there may be more, price hikes for, other parcels.
Right. Well, here I have this Business Week article. It's really kind of interesting because a study was done by McKinsey and Company, and it really highlights some of the problems that the Postal Service is having, and it came up with some suggestions of possible solutions. And like you said, the main reason why I guess the Postal Service is not that they're not handling their business.